This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your favourite. What is it? 60 minutes on a Friday, 60 minutes
ish
of the week. It is, and the thing is, I have to give a shout out to Mick. You know Mick from Staffs. Every week he comes on the Monday show and goes, "This is going to be 45 minutes." I always start off by saying, "We're here for the next 30 minutes." Mick always then comments, "This is going to be 45 minutes." I don't think there's been a week where he's wrong. Anyway, sorry, we digress. Well, this is the greatest, the biggest, the most awesome running podcast in the world. So welcome everybody to the next 60 minutes. You're going to be thoroughly entertained and educated by our crack team of heroes that we brought in. Think the new Avengers. There's a new Captain America clip out today. But this is very much along the same lines as us. It's like the new Avengers. Okay, this is what we basically are here. We've got an all-boy team tonight. We've got Wilco sporting his Charlton top. And we'll come on to that in a second why. We've got Big Coach out down at the bottom. He's here to give us some advice and keep us on the steady ship.
That's a new pen. You're always telling me off for clicking my pen.
Oh, have you got a non-clicking pen?
I've got a pen that doesn't click. Look, doesn't move. No moving parts.
I don't know what the viewers are going to, or the listeners are going to do now, Al. They sort of rely on it to like run to the beat of your pen.
There you go.
Yeah, well, and the smallest man with the biggest tan is here. He's ready for action. Frodo's here.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, right. So tonight, just so the others know, because I don't think anybody really knew what was going on, we're talking about improving your speed. We've got some techniques and things like that to help you with. I do want to ask you, anybody who listened to last week's show, as we wait for everybody who's joining us live, whether you did the things that we spoke about last week. Can you let us know in the comments? So if this is, I don't know, if you haven't listened to the last 300 episodes, we record this thing live. We're nuts. We just record this live because we don't care. All right. And what that means is those guys and girls who are joining us live can get involved with the comments and chat section. And one of the team, I don't know who it is, we did pick straws before, but one of the guys will take care of all your comments and questions tonight. So play along, get involved, comment, whatever you want to do. If you're watching this live, get involved. If you're listening to this as a podcast, Al, unfortunately, is not going to be clicking his pen, but you will be able to have still a good run because we're going to keep you entertained. Okay, right. So that's how that works. So tonight, we're going to give you some speed techniques. But before we do that, we've got some other bits. We have got a packed show, okay? So I'm going to run through all this as quick as I can. Firstly, we've got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Skechers. Get over to skechers.co.uk. I've got a care package coming next week for my summer holidays, which I'm very excited about. So a big shout out to Skechers, skechers.co.uk, who are very busy with Harry Kane in the Euros this weekend. If you didn't know, Harry wears Skechers football boots. We've got to give a shout out to the guys at Start Fitness. Use the code 40runs over at startfitness.co.uk. And this is a bit of a warning to all of you. I put it in the Facebook group today. If you are not signed on to the Great North Run Shakeout, you need to do it today. There's going to be a social post going out with the partners that we're doing that event with. And there's not many spaces left. We have to limit capacity because we've already got a lot of people coming, right? And everyone's getting a bit nervous about how many people we've got coming, okay? I'm just telling you now, when that goes out to those brand partners, it's going to sell out in about 2 seconds. So if you have not yet, and it's totally free to get involved, if you're coming to the Great North Run, you don't have to be running the Great North Run. Just, if you're in the area and want to come along, but please book on. There's going to be some amazing swag that's going to be given out, okay, to some lucky people. There's going to be some bigger discounts than you'd normally get. There's going to be some other goodies and stuff like that going on. We've got the live podcast and all that sort of stuff. But please, I'm just giving you a last warning. After that, you're on your own, okay? I want to give a shout out to our satellite groups because we've got two big ones starting. Hayden, over to you.
Yeah, we have. On Monday, we have, in partnership with the Bradford Bulls, we have our Bradford satellite group going out from the stadium, and there is going to be refreshments and bag drops and chat areas at the start and the finish, and that is going to be awesome. And then the very next day, just around the corner, well, that's my southern geography, I think it's around the corner, we have Wakefield going out on the Tuesday. So 2 massive big satellite groups, just really enhancing that big northern powerhouse we got up there. So going to be an awesome week next week.
Okay, good. So that's that. So make sure you spread the word about Bradford and Wakefield. If you didn't know, the other satellite groups we've got over the country, there's like 60 of them. Go on the website, 40rounds.com. Most of them are on there. And if you want to start one, get in touch. What else? I've got to go through. I'm wearing my Berlin shirt. We have put the 50th anniversary Berlin special race vest on the store. So just so you know, I've got a note to mention that today. So there's a special vest out for anybody who's doing Berlin. And that was it. So I am going to go away. By the way, I am going to go on a bit of a rant in about 2 minutes. I'm just warning everybody. You've all had your 2-minute warning. I am going to go off on one in about 2 minutes. Okay.
Have I got to get the lawyer on the phone?
Yeah, because I may go deep on this. I may not. Admin hopefully he's not listening to this, so we might get away with it. Okay?
Oh, she won't mind, mate. You know, she'll let you do what you want.
I'm not sure about this one. But anyway, before we do that, boys, most importantly, where are we all watching the football this weekend? Because again, if you're listening back to this, this is the weekend that England are playing in the Euros. And everybody who's listening live, we want your score predictions, please, in the chat comment thing. So now load us up with the score predictions. Al, what do you reckon, and where are you watching it?
I'll be watching it somewhere on the A12 because I'll be driving back from London. The Saucony 10K.
Okay.
So I think it'll be 2-1 to the Arsenal. So Saka will score for. Have we got any Spanish? Oh, Raya might save a penalty.
Okay.
So yeah, Saka and Raya to start.
Okay. Like it. Wilco?
It's going all the way, mate. Penalties.
Okay.
1-1.
And who do you think?
I think we might win on penalties.
Okay. Hayden, are you old enough to stay up that late?
I'd like to say, actually, I'm intrigued the fact that Al is going to be on the A12 after Saucony 10K
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock in the evening. How long are you going to take to this 10K?
No, Kieran's got us in the pub, hasn't he, for 8 hours? So I'm going to escape.
Honestly,
that's going to be messy.
I'm telling you now. Can we just say, can we not allow Kieran to go live on the Facebook group on Sunday night? Al, you're in charge, all right?
You do need lawyers for that, Wilco. Absolutely, you will need the lawyers for that one. Yeah.
Oh,
honestly,
I'm not getting involved, mate. Wilco's going home. You know.
Okay. You've all had your warning. Stay off the Facebook group on Sunday night because Kieran's out. Oh, Jesus.
And I'm going to be the bearer of bad news because I'm going to have my prediction. I think we're going to get absolutely white clean 3-0 Spain. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
God.
I am a miserable sod, I know, but I'm realistic.
Okay. He's realistic and miserable at the same time. So we're already seeing a lot of love for England on penalties, Wilco. People are agreeing with you on that one. Yeah, let's see. Who knows? But yeah, special weekend. Fingers crossed that we will get a bank holiday on Monday. Actually, before we get into the rant, Wilco, tell the viewers what you're up to on Saturday.
Saturday is a landmark occasion, mate, because Saturday at 9 o'clock will be my 100th park run.
And where are you doing that?
I will be doing that at Charlton Park, hence the shirt.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a brief story because I used to live within a stone's throw of Charlton Park. And 7 years ago, when I first put on a pair of trainers and thought I'd give this running like a go, it's where I started running. They didn't have a park run at the time. And they set one up after lockdown about 3 weeks after I'd moved. So I've never done it, but it's a park that I've always run around, on my journey. So, I'm making my debut there and it's going to be my 100th. So I'm really looking forward to going back. And hoping that there'll be plenty of 40s around to come along.
Wilco, sorry, mate, I know one person that won't be coming because they're a bit upset with you.
Oh, here we go.
That's our friend Nate in the comments. He's not even going to be watching the football because he's lost all his money on your tip that Portugal will win a couple of weeks ago. He's fuming at you.
Is he? Well, he didn't mention at the time that he thought it was bad and didn't put his money on, did he? If he'd have said at the time, that'd have been fine. Everyone's entitled to a different opinion, but being wise after the event, it's not a good look.
No, yeah, okay, all right. Well, let's move on. And talking about predictions, we're all at the Saucony 10K. Al, are you running or volunteering?
No, I'm running. Got a
You're
bib.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
right, boys, get your watches. Get your watches. Mine's on charge. So I've got to go and
What's
get mine
this,
because
the
I thought of this game about 2 seconds ago. I've not even got my watch. Right, I want your 10K predictions.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
What's
but we've
your
got to find it.
predictors?
It takes 20 minutes to find it on the.
Well, yeah, I know. So what's your 10K prediction? I've got to go and get my watch. So hang on, talk amongst yourselves.
This makes good viewing and good listening.
Yeah.
doesn't it, this one?
Everyone leaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, mate.
So where do we find it? I can never remember.
Okay, right. So
Got to talk me through it.
you got to go. Well, mine's easy. Mine's like as soon as I
If you're on your phone now and you go to performance stats, it should be on there. Race predictor
No,
Yeah.
I've got an old
on the
one.
Garmin apps. Oh.
All
Why
right,
don't
okay.
they all have the same things?
I know, so annoying. Right, Hayden, what's your current 10K predictor?
40 minutes and 1 second.
Oh, that's annoying. Are you going to be beating that at the weekend or not?
Got more chance of England winning, so I would say absolutely not.
Okay. Wilco, what's your current 10K prediction?
It is 50 minutes on the button. 50:00.
50:00. And are you going to be beating that or trying to get close to it?
I would suggest it would be highly unlikely that I beat that.
Why is that?
I'm just sort of like winging my way back. Not got much of a training cycle behind me, so yeah, I'm feeling a bit sluggish. I've been a bit under the weather as well, so I think that's
sorry to hear that,
unlikely.
man.
Well,
Okay.
I'm still here.
Silly, still live and kicking. Al, have you worked it out or are you giving up?
Well, I don't know. I've got a dilemma now. Do I just lie and say, no, do I tell the truth and say I can't find it? Or do I lie and give you a time of 58:57 so I've got a chance of beating it?
Oh,
Which way
I'd
shall I
go
go?
second one, 100%.
Okay,
Definitely.
58:57 and I might have a chance of beating it.
All right, I've got mine slipped. This shows you how much in terms of what I lost in terms of my fitness. So mine's currently 44.40. Before I got injured, it was about 41. So shows you how much I've lost on my.
I do think mine are looking more accurate than they were sort of 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a well. I mean, I got the upgrade on the phone at Christmas, you see, and I think it's just got a bit more info in it, and it's it's starting to sort itself out.
Yeah, they do work off obviously more data and all that sort of stuff. You know, the more that comes up, the sort of on that stuff with the data, races and all that kind of stuff that you're putting into it, the more it sort of builds a profile.
All I'm
Okay,
glad is
right.
I'm glad I lied. I found it and I'm not telling you what it's saying.
Come on,
Come on out. Come on
wipe
out.
up. Come on.
49:07. Someone must have been wearing my watch.
Al's going to absolutely destroy that the weekend. Come on, Al.
Who's been wearing my watch?
I think you've been watching. You were wearing it for them 24 hours at heart. That's what it is, mate. You put that shift in. You're ready. Race ready.
man.
Right, okay, boys. I want to discuss something with you, and then by the way, if you're tuned in live and whatnot, get in the comments and get involved, okay? And if you're listening to this as a pod, you might be about to get angry with me. But anyway, I want to briefly discuss something, which I think is quite an interesting topic, and I don't want to go on about it too much because I do want to genuinely get into the sort of speed stuff and talk about techniques and things like that. But I want to talk about the fact that there's so many shakeout runs going on across this country of ours, and I'm very, very worried. This is a conversation I had with someone today. It's made me think about this, and I've got more and more angry since I've had this conversation. And I'm really worried for the general running public because I am scared because I reckon, and I might be out of turn here, I reckon 90% of them are not insured. I reckon 90% of them aren't doing risk assessments. I reckon 90% of them haven't even had a thought about if anybody gets hit by a car. I'm really worried, right? And I'm being serious because running's so popular at the moment and it's so awesome. There's all these social run clubs and it's really fashionable in London and all this sort of stuff, right? And all the cool kids are going and doing it on TikTok. But there's so many of these run clubs popped up that aren't, I don't think, paying any attention to it. And I want to ask the question that when you go to the shakeout runs that start this, I don't know, 52 shakeout runs now for a Saucony 10K. It's just ridiculous. You know, the whole thing's gone completely mad because it's just a marketing tool. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, because we do them around the big events, right? But obviously we make sure, for example, we've got run leaders, we're insured, we've got volunteers, we've got first aiders, we've done risk assessments. We do everything above board, okay? But it's really scaring me because I was at an event and people just running out in the streets in London across cars, buses, and without no care in the world. And my worry is that something's going to happen to somebody, right? And all of a sudden, all this is going to get shut down. And the joy that it's bringing some people who are doing it properly are going to get penalised for the idiots that are using it because as a marketing to say look good on TikTok. I think the brands are to blame. When I look, and I'd love to know, for example, if the Hoka Run Club group, whatever they're called in London, is insured. I'd love to know that. I'd love to know if On, their running group in London, is insured. I just love, and I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying in general. But the shakeout runs, I just would ask every single person that is listening to this, that if they sign up to something in terms of doing something with these brands, these influencers and all this, again, this is me talking to somebody who does this. I'd be interested to know whether you pay any attention to whether you're actually insured, because I fear that somebody's going to trip or someone's going to get hit by a car and it's going to be all over the news, and people, clubs, and you know, others who are taking the time and the care and the attention to do things properly and look after their runners and make sure that it's all above board and it's all done properly to the best of their abilities, right, are going to come unstuck. I just think that there's so much of this bullshit that's out there at the moment about TikTok and Instagram and taking all these great pictures that they're actually doing it in the totally the wrong way. And it's really infuriating me because I'm seeing so much of it, especially, and it's all related to these shakeout runs that to do for a 10K. It's absolutely pointless. Just go part run. It's free and it's all insured. You're welcome. But it's like, what's this all about? And it's driving me up the wall. It really is. Faults, Wilco.
Well, obviously, I would think that their popularity suggests that they will have to be managed as public events like anything else. Like, you know, if you want to have a march in the town centre or something like that, then you have to go to the police, you have to liaise with them, and you have to talk about where you're going to go, how many people are going to turn up, what time you're going to start, what time you're going to finish, and things like that. Surely there's got to be some sort of regulation of these sort of things if it's a big issue like that, and then you can limit the risk of something going bad before it actually does.
Yeah, for example, like there's a Puma one, the running channel do one with Puma. Is that insured? I don't know. And I'm not picking on people, right? I'm giving examples because that's out in the public realm. I'm actually more specific talking about the shakeout runs that's go on, because that probably is, right? Maybe they got some public liability insurance or whatever. But you know,
so what arrangements do we have for ours then?
So if we do, so for example, Great North Run shakeout run. I'll go through it. So we've got run leaders who are insured, okay? And they've got first aiders in place. Most of those are run leaders because they've gone through it. We've done a risk assessment. The club's got insurance and then we've got obviously the coaches that's based around that insurance. The club also has a separate insurance for stuff like that. But basically we use the England Athletics because we're an England Athletics club. So we use that in terms of our public liability insurance. I think it's about £5 million. But we do a risk assessment. We put volunteers in place. We've run the route. We control as best to our ability. We make sure that we go out, especially with large numbers that we are going to be dealing with, that we have group sizes that are manageable. There's a safety briefing. Everybody signs up to a code of conduct. Everybody does the waiver and they understand the waiver. I mean, that's stuff that we're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're super, super conscious of it. But I'm just saying to you, if you go to a shakeout run, I don't know. Again, I'm not picking on any brand because I like women's brands, but to a whatever in the middle of London for a 10K, and there's even 100 people. As a run, I'm just nervous that somebody goes to that with the belief that something and then something happens to them. I just don't want something to happen to them because these other people are just doing it for the gram. And I just think it has to come. I personally blame England Athletics. I think the governing body should be regulating all this and should be trying to put some guidelines out and say, you know what?
But then do you think that's because, you know, they don't do it, but it's because generally it's not established clubs that are doing these sort of
No,
things.
exactly.
It's
And
people who are,
it's a
promoting
brand.
themselves and bringing people
groups.
together. So it's
Run
very
groups.
difficult. Yeah, so it's very difficult. Playing devil's advocate. It's quite difficult for them to regulate things that aren't under their control, isn't it?
I wonder if there's a directive. But if I see like products like certain products that start a run club and they have large numbers of people, attending stuff. Are you insured when you go to that? I look, I'm not picking on anybody in particular, right? I'm just saying I am so worried that it's all gonna come undone, and it'll be on the front of the Daily Mail. Tom Henry was in Battersea at a so-and-so, fell over, broke his collarbone, and all these run clubs that have picked up in London, blah, 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 and all of a sudden running gets a bad name. Because everybody's jumped on it, and that's
it's very difficult to. It's like everything with the sort of like the growth of the internet and everything like that. It's so difficult to police and it's so difficult to manage.
Exactly. What do you think, Al?
I hear what you're saying in terms of the health and safety issue, and Wilco's absolutely right. I work for a local authority. Public events should be going through what's called a safety advisory group, and there are rules and regulations. But that's never going to happen. Let's be honest. I think the positive side, if there is one, is there is a new generation of people taking up running, and that's
Agreed.
the thing I want to see and promote and find ways to do that. Young people tend to get a bad press. And when you see young people signing up for whatever motive, whether it's because I think they might end up on TikTok and famous, but if they are getting out and doing something for their mental well-being and their physical fitness, that has to be celebrated. But you're right to say, whether it's the internet, whether it's particular brands, whether it's the social media, the drive is to be bigger than the next one and to have more impact and to do something crazy so that you stand out in this world of instant messaging. But I think let's try and pull it back to what should we be celebrating. It's more people getting out and taking responsibility for their well-being, and that's the bit we should all be trying to support in whichever way we can. Parkrun, absolutely. Come to Parkrun.
Yeah,
come to Wilco's Parkrun.
Yeah, come to Wilco tomorrow. No, I'm with you.
There's cake.
Yeah, there's cake. No, I'm 100%. And don't let me distract from that. I think the popularity of running is brilliant, right? Because when they're later on in life, they'll all come into 40 runs after they've had their kids and they've done everything like that, right? But it's true. It is a positive thing, yeah. That the fact is, but I am just really worried about it, and that's just my honest opinion. What do you think, Hayden? Where are you on this issue?
Yeah, a couple of points. I pick up the thing with Parkrun. I totally agree with both of you. It's great. These shakeout runs. Why not have one at Parkrun? The problem is, I think if you dive deep into it, a lot of the parkrun people don't want you to be there having these shakeout runs. They've got no interest. So you've got that conflict of interest straight away. I'd also say the more we get into, we all know, regulations and trying to do things absolutely how they should be, all that means is increased costs. And we all know people are going to take the mickey. Councils, I want to run through your park for 10 minutes. Yeah, of course you can. There you go. That's $1,000. This is what it's going to come to. And that is a big problem. And I think you summed up at the start as well when you said about people doing this, a shakeout run for a 10K. There's no such thing. There's a gathering, there's a meeting up because the brand want people to meet up. It's not a shakeout. We had a shakeout run for a 10K.
No, I agree.
The marathon idea, I sort of get the idea of that. The day before, loosen yourself up. And that's what a shakeout run is. But for all the other events, to be fair, you don't need shakeout runs. They are about social gatherings and people getting together. Yeah. And that should be celebrated. That's a great thing. But as you said, there's a lot of fine lines and there's a lot of danger involved in all of this. And it's where you draw the line of friends getting together and going for a run, or people taking this a bit more serious and preparing for the worst and having risk assessments in place.
You raise a good point there about the purpose of the shakeout runs. There's been a little bit of controversy in the World Majors group the last couple of weeks because Berlin and Tokyo now have a paid shakeout run. Yeah. And London is the only major that doesn't have an official paid for shakeout run.
Which I'd imagine is what you did in Chicago. I suppose that would go down as a shakeout run, wouldn't it?
And it was most expensive bobble hat 5K in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. But the thing is, what I would say we have over here again, Parkrun. It's free. Get 10 of you together and go do your local parkrun.
If you say that about over here, that's the same as Chicago. Chicago had park run. Some people went up to the park run there. Berlin, some people went out to the park run in Berlin. Yeah. They are all over the world. And as I said before, that park run that's a fantastic vehicle if we can use that. But I'm not sure how keen park run are about us using that as a vehicle.
No, they're not. They're not. Like they, you know, and that comes down to, and I totally understand that with regards to like volunteers, numbers, they can't cope and all that sort of stuff. And again, the risk assessments are laid out based on a certain number of people probably attending and things like that. And that's totally understandable. I get all that. But I think you're right. Is that where do you stop this sort of nonsense about a shakeout run for a 10K? It's just a marketing vehicle to get people out. Again, no problem with getting people out and getting them running. I'm just talking about, I think at some point I worry this is going to blow up in our face. I just hope that these brands, these marketing people, these run clubs that are popping up, and these, Weetabix, whoever is doing the next one. I just saw somebody from some beef company doing one. They think about, are we doing this correctly? Because you've got a responsibility to people, right? They might assume that they are, and are you doing a good? I
think David Turner literally has just basically answered the question, and he's spot on. I've been to a few runs this year where it's sort of like these gatherings, meeting ups, and for all of them, you need to sign a waiver, which means indirectly you're signing a waiver to say they're not insured. You're running on your own self, That's up to you. So if you're signing a waiver, basically they're saying they're not insured.
That's a whole podcast in itself. Who reads the T's and C's?
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be the case that, like if you go on when we went to Paphos and all that sort of thing, I always buy insurance, travel insurance, and it covers me for, specifically for, marathon running is one of the things, and I always have it down and stuff like that. Maybe we will all have to be insured. Maybe we'll have to be like insuring your car or something like that. If you want to go running, it's best to be insured. Maybe that's the way it's going to go.
I don't know. I don't know. I know, but that's the way. In a way, that's the way I don't want it to go. I kind of like it the way it is now. But that's where my point is, Wilco. I'm so fearful, because when I hear the stories of people going along to these things. And I've seen it firsthand where people are just literally let loose and running out in front of cars and buses. All right, they're doing it under their own steam, but they might not think that they're doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a grey area, and it's just been really irritating the hell out of me. So I thought I'd mention it. It's surprising that it's been irritating me, isn't it? I don't really get irritated by things. Right, anyway, so end of that. I thought, actually, to be fair, I know, but I wasn't naming people to have a go at them, by the way. I'll just make that absolutely clear. I was just using examples. I was fair, wasn't I?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we don't know what arrangements other people have
exactly.
got. We were not speculating whether they, if they did or they didn't.
No,
just,
exactly. I'm not saying that.
We just use them as example process.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I
few examples more than anything else. Okay, right. So let's move on into improving speed work. Okay, I want to talk about a little bit some of the sort of, I don't know, things you can do, right, to help with that speed work. All right, because some of you may be in training plans, some of you may not be. Some of you may be having the summer off to do some speed work. Okay. So I wanted to go through sort of 5 things that I wrote down. And I think if we go through them a little bit one by one, we can discuss them. And I want you to think about them. Is that fair? You happy with that, boys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's kind of worked the other week when we did this. So that's why I've kind of tried to replicate it in terms of going through the stuff with this. So, look, I think we all know the benefits of speed training. I think is that wrong to assume that? Do we all understand? Al, you're probably best placed to talk about what the benefits are.
Well, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because there is that, let's call it an assumption that to run fast, you have to run fast. But the caveat is not all the time. In fact, you shouldn't be running fast most of the time. And then you can get into a debate about kind of how you structure your training and where speed work plays. But, you're not going to get faster unless you do run faster. But it's about volume and intensity of that speed work, I guess, is where we're going to go.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I'm going to give you sort of technique's a bit strong, but I'm going to give you 5 things, okay, will hopefully enhance your running speed. Let's say, right? Okay. So the first thing, which is the thing I think we most sort of associate with the speed work, is interval training, right? So if anybody doesn't know what that is, that involves alternating between periods of high intensity running and low intensity or sort of recovery. Yeah. This sort of interval training is something that will significantly improve your speed and endurance quickly, right? So a good example of a workout, right? And then we'll run through the guys in terms of what they do. So full out for a minute, as hard and fast as you can. I always say with these, don't look at your watch, go to effort, by the way. And then so a minute of super, super hard running, and you can try these at home. Super, super hard running. Try and do it on a flat, really, because the hill works slightly different. And then have sort of 2 minutes of recovery. So jogging, walking, depends how hard you've actually gone. And then just repeat that 6, even up to 10 times, depends on how you're doing, right? The benefits of that is you're improving your cardiovascular fitness, right? You're building that fast twitch muscle fibers, and you're improving that lactate threshold, okay? So, Hayden, how much in terms of interval training do you put into your sort of week?
Actual specific intervals,
Yeah.
I will do probably one a fortnight, but I would do like a fartlek run that will borderlines on interval stroke fartlek training. So speed wise, like a structured session, I usually do 2 a week.
Okay. Wilco, interval training? I know we do quite a bit on a Tuesday.
Yeah, you see, that's where I would get mine. You see, I don't tend to do. I look at the Tuesday stuff as an opportunity to try things like that. Really.
Okay. All right. Al, about you? Where are you on this one?
If I'm running to a plan and it's a 5 times a week plan, probably just 1 session a week. Right. Sometimes that will be really short, sharp, more like strides. Other times it might be stretching it up to maybe 200 meters. So probably just tipping over the minute, 90 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you're not doing any form of interval training, I would try and get it in if you can once a week, right? Like I said to you, that is a real basic session. Run as hard as you can for a minute. Or worst case, if you can't don't know what like a minute is, because as I said, the best thing to do is not look at your watch, because really shouldn't be really focused on pace. It's effort with these, right? Run from the end of your one end of your road to the other. As long as you don't like live in Hayden, where it's literally your whole estate is Surrey. But it's like one end of the road to the other. One lamppost that you think will be about a minute. Yeah.
Or also at this time of year, they're just starting to mark out the football pitches and the ground's dry. That's an ideal place to sort of like do sort of like.
I would say no. I would say no, because you're on grass. That's uneven. You can do your ankle. You're full out. I would say avoid that, Wilco. That would be my because you can easily turn an ankle on a football pitch. I know what you're saying in terms of.
So thanks everybody. This will be my last appearance on the long run to offer any.
There's those waivers. We get everybody to listen. When they listen, can they sign a waiver as well for any tips that Wilco gives out? Everyone will be writing in. Oh, Wilco, thanks for the tip. I'm in hospital at the moment.
Yeah. Well, we've already had. I'm putting people in hospital. I'm sending Nate to the poorhouse because Portugal can't score a goal.
Just stick to running 100 park runs, Wilco.
That's taken me long enough.
All right. Okay. So the next thing, and you it's going to be on the list, right? Strength training. Okay. In terms of speed, we know how much that improves. Everything. It's incorporating the strength training into your routine. So let's say your week of training, it helps build the muscles, right? Used in running. Your legs and your core, to get that explosiveness, let's say, off your legs. That you want to be looking at doing, Al's probably best chat, but like squats, lunges, deadlifts, calf raises, planks for your core, all that sort of stuff, right? But it just works on that power. It helps improving your running economy. We'll come on to that. And it also, as we know, we spoke about it multiple times, it reduces the risk of injury. It's so important. And you might think, strength training, how's that going to get me faster? But it's true, isn't it?
It's the power. Yeah. So the power comes from your quads and your hamstrings. And you mentioned the holy trinity of squats, lunges, and deadlifts. And there's variations in terms of, you don't have to stick to just the 3 exercises. There's so much progression and regression you can do with those 3 that you can literally have a different set of exercises every week for 52 weeks and never do the same thing. but it's, work the quads, work the hamstrings, and that's where the power comes as well as your glutes.
Yeah. Wilco, I know you've been putting it up in the group this week, pictures of gyms.
Yeah. I've joined a gym.
And how
It's
you
all getting
finding that?
serious. Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm using sort of like the strength equipment, doing a bit of rowing and stuff like that, just to do. Well, I mean, obviously, we're talking about speed here and how it helps, but I found it's been quite good for breaking down my my week and doing something a bit different.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know whether that's a novelty of the fact that I've done 4 or 5 sessions, whether I'll still feel like that in a couple of months. But yeah, it's a bit different, and I'm enjoying it. And it's a bit early to see, whether it's reaping the benefits, obviously, because I've only been doing it for a couple of weeks.
Takes
But
time.
but then I'm patient in that regard. I'm not going to be like, oh well, it's made no difference now. Sorry, I'm going to sack that off. Although, yeah. So yeah, it's been lightning, and I've been swimming and stuff like that, just to do something different.
Yeah.
Mentally, it's helped, and I'm still getting the mileage in as well. So yeah, I'm pleased.
Win. Hey, I know you got a gym in your house. I think is it the West Wing? But have you been using that much, or have you been in the new pool you got?
No, a bit of both, to be fair. I was in the pool tonight, actually. Yeah, good session. But no, I agree. And I think what you said before, with the strength training, I feel it's a bit of like a bit of a silent partner. You won't necessarily, like if you go out and do an interval session this week, a real hard one, and then next week and the week after, within 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to start to notice that big time. With strength training, I don't find you necessarily sort of physically noticeable there, but inside, as you said, the risk of injury becomes so much lower.
Yeah.
That's not something you can physically see, but that is happening to your body. And when you go on some of these longer runs, when you've got that endurance and you need that bit of extra muscle there, that bit of extra power, it's there. It's hiding, but it's there. But there is one massive, massive caveat to your strength training. It's what I always come back to, and it really irritates the life out of me. And that's that Mr. Kipchoge does absolutely sod all strength training. What can you do?
Nothing.
It does the old dead, what do you call it, don't they? What they call it, they lie down and they do.
They lie down. They what? Go to sleep.
No, they lie down. Oh, what's it called?
Where's he going with this one?
I'm worried. No, I didn't have a waiver.
Al, help me out. You're the one. You've got all the badges.
Are we talking yoga, Pilates? What are we doing?
No, they do those. Dead bugs.
Dead bugs. Well, that's a form of strength and conditioning.
That's what they do.
It's body work. It's body weight.
They do that. They do that for hours on ends.
Yeah,
You should be doing them, Wilco.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, it's sort of like a well-known fact that in all interviews, he always comes out. He's always forever always said that he just does no strength training at all. But yeah, give you that, Wilco. Yeah, if he does bits and pieces like that, he is. But he's a lucky bloke. Some people just
we got there in the end.
It didn't take long, did it?
Not much. We ran houses. I'm going to shut that up. I'll go home. I'll see you at Charlton tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
No, Wilco, at this rate, no one's going to come because you're upsetting everyone. Okay, right. Next. And actually, these are my favourites, but I hate them. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, I thought you told me he's going to give me some techniques to go faster. Honestly, if you do all this, you will get faster. It's like last week on our techniques. And this is the thing that I started when I got injured, okay? Because I wasn't doing this beforehand, and that's the whole plyometrics, all right? The plyos have been like a light bulb moment for me. They're actually the hardest thing I do in the gym a week, right? I really find them really hard, which is nuts when you're just basically jumping up and down on one leg. But it's really hard to do it, okay? Now, if you don't know what plyometric is, it's like it's jump training. I think it's probably an easy way of saying it is, and it improves that explosive power, and your coordination. My coordination is terrible. Just watch the videos when I was at the physio, right? And these are two things: coordination, believe it or not, and that explosive power is key to speed and speed work, right? We spoke about it with strength training. I said about it. So I'll give you some examples, right? Because this is the stuff that I'm doing: box jumps, bounding, single leg hops, and jump squats. Now, they've all got funny names like pogos and bliss and jump, all beginning with P's, right? But that's basically what it does, okay? Now, I wrote this down because I thought this, and I put it on the thumbnail. I thought it was quite interesting. They increase neuromuscular efficiency. There, Al's not. Look, Al's nodding. Look, which is improved stride length and frequency. Al, why are you nodding?
Well, I was just about to say it's all about building your neural pathways. That's what plyometrics do, and it is that explosiveness, and it is making those instant connections between the brain and your muscles that you get from putting yourself through a box jump. And believe it or not, most of us have probably done plyometrics to a greater or lesser extent, because skipping is a form of plyometrics.
Correct.
And dare I say it, burpees is a form of plyometrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've done any of those two, you've already started on
You're in the game.
pathway to the plyometrics club. Absolutely.
So what I was going to say also, that's why you see boxers do loads of skipping. Skipping, it's got that, and it's, as you said, it comes from the brain. It goes through to different parts of the body, and it's explosive, builds your strength, everything. And that's why loads of boxers do a load of skipping. It's really good for you.
You've got to remember, running is like a single leg exercise, effectively. Yeah, you're one leg. Okay, so doing the work in the plyos really helps working both sides separately. It's key.
And it all adds to good form, because I don't know if any of you have heard of Helen Hall, who's become quite big in the coaching world, and I think she started off as a barefoot runner, so it was all about form and technique. When she breaks it down, she says a marathon typically is 48,000 to 55,000 single steps, and if you keep doing it wrong, that's why it hurts. So the more you can do to work on your strength, and the more you can do to work on that good form, the less impact you're going to have after 50-odd thousand, as you said, single leg hops, jumps, whatever.
It's interesting. He's brought us neatly on to point number 4. Well done, Al. Proper form and technique. Again, this is not something that you may be associated with speed and technique. You're thinking, I just got to go and do intervals, or I've got to do fart leg or whatever. Focusing on form, and we spoke about this last week. Okay, so watch back or listen back to last week's episode. It was brilliant. Focusing on your running form is gonna lead to sort of more efficient movement and ultimately faster times. Right. So just listen back to last week, but just as an overview, relaxed posture, keeping your head up, engaging your core, looking for that midfoot strike, which we spoke about, swinging your arms effectively and efficiently, and keeping them bent at sort of 90 degrees. We spoke about all that last week. All right. And again, this stuff will benefit you because it reduces that sort of energy wastage. Yeah, it decreases the risk of injury as well, proper form. And that will ultimately lead to more speed. Okay, so proper form and technique. Listen back to last week's pod. Okay, that's what I want you to do. Go back through that, because we gave you sort of, was it 7 things? I don't know.
I don't know, mate.
Well, have you not listened back to it? No.
I'm not on. I don't bother.
Can we transfer him in? Is Marissa around? Can we sub him out? I think he's checked out. Al, in terms of running form, what do you focus on when you're running?
It is that posture, and it's mainly for me. It's about managing oxygen, because it's oxygen that fuels the blood, and it's the blood that fuels the muscles. I think lots is said about cadence, lots is said about foot strike, and I think we're all so individual that it can get a little bit. You can get too generic. So unless you've got a coach that can dissect all your little wonks and limps, there is a danger that we kind of overprescribe for the wrong issues. So for me, I'm less worried about my foot strike and more about, am I keeping up right? Am I maximizing my oxygen intake? Because that's what's going to keep the point of fatigue as far away as possible.
Sorry, Wilco, just really quickly. I've always got, especially usually in park run, if you want to have a real go, I always find when I really get to that point about 3.5K where I'm starting to really struggle, that is one thing I'll always do. And mine's always arms. I just keep thinking to myself, swing your arms faster, harder. It just seems to takes my mind off the fact that I'm absolutely about to die. And it also I just get a little bit of a push, and it might die down after 20 seconds. And then 15 seconds after that, I'll think, let's go again. Well, arms strong again. Keep going. And
that's a really interesting point, because most of running is about trying to trick your brain into thinking, it's not as bad as it is. And what you're doing there is by kind of doing something even harder than normal, running faster or pushing harder. When you drop back into whatever your goal pace is for that run, it feels easier. So quite often, I would say if you're feeling tired, in a long run, the thing to do is go for a short sprint. And people go, why is that? Because you're pushing yourself beyond, and then when you drop into that goal pace, it feels easy again. Relative. So, that's an example of what you're doing there, Hayden.
It's an interesting fact, right? I just thought about this. Did you know, because he's talking about his arms, did you know that a hobbit, right, their forearms, is the size of your foot. A hobbit is not. Their forearms are actually smaller than the size of their feet.
How do you know so much about hobbits? It's disturbing. It's
you're
not
one.
normal. It's not normal. It's not normal.
You said about your arms. Anyway, Wilco, what was you going to say before Hayden rudely interrupts you? Are you going to kill somebody else now?
No. I was just wondering, sort of like, as speaking as a layman, because I've already demonstrated I don't know much. I was going to say, is there a danger that you can get bogged down a bit in all this?
Yes.
Like, I mean, the equivalent I would say is like, if you play golf, people who play golf will know this. Like, they will play competently, and then people will say, "Oh yeah, well, if you just have a few tweaks to your swing and things like that, and you work on this, then you can get better." And then sometimes it takes them back to square one, and they get lost. And what's the best? So it was the discussion would suggest that the best thing to do would be to sort of like bear in mind just sort of like 3 or 4 fundamental things to get right, and then everything else is sort of like, because, well, the example I always use, you say, oh, you've got to have form, you do this, you do that. I saw a woman win the Boston Marathon. She looked like she'd been pushed out the back of a van.
Yeah.
Don't make any reference to Ben and about his form. He's still not talking to you about after you hammered him about that.
Don't look at me, mate. You're at the wrong shop. That weren't me. Anyway, but there's an individual nature. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, right. So the golf analogy is brilliant. Yeah. Most golfers, they tend to have one swing thought. Yeah. And that's that one thing to focus on. It's the same if you're trying to do anything in terms of running and you're trying to work. So if you notice, Wilco, when we do a coach session on a Tuesday, you'll have a fitness goal, but you'll also have a technical goal. We always give you one. We don't give you multiple. We'll only give you one. That's deliberate. Okay. For you to focus on one thing, because you just overload with it. And what you'll do is, if we said to you, right, Wilco, I want you to work, like we've done, pulling your hips forward a little bit, putting that core, but while you're doing that, think about your arms, and while you're also doing that, think about your foot strike. You just go, what? And you would do none of that well. But if I give you one thing to think about and one thing to work on, and I give you a metric to base that on, right? So let's say we're working on form and I wanted you, I don't know, upright at, let's say 12 o'clock. Yeah, using the clock. But maybe you actually were leaning towards, I don't know, 11, 10 o'clock. You're leaning forward on the clock, but I want you more at 12. We can work on one thing and I can give you a metric in which to work from. That's much more achievable than if I said those other 3 things. And it's the same thing when you're out on a long run or you're practicing at park run or whatever you're doing. Think only one thing. And that will declutter the brain immediately. Yeah, does that make sense?
So would you suggest, like, every time I go out on the long run, I should think about one different thing?
Yeah, because that will improve you ultimately. If you can do one thing over that 2 hours, but you do it, every 5 kilometers, you go, you know what? I'm actually going to move my hips slightly forward for the next.
If I'm out, I do try and check in every now and then. I might pass a shop window, sort of like, how much,
I do it. I do it now. Again, coach, qualified athletics coach. I'm doing it myself. I'm thinking, actually, I'm a little bit too forward on my toes here. So I'm thinking about my foot strike. So then I try and bring it down. I'm going to be running easy. So I'm thinking about that. But one thing, because otherwise you just go, and then you're done. Right, okay. Let's move on. Because we've got basically one more to talk about. And Hayden spoke a little bit. But I want to talk about actual speed drills. And I don't think many of us do them as everyday runners. I think this is something that people who tend to go to the track and that sort of thing tend to focus on a little bit more. Wilco, we do, a reasonable amount of it. We try and circle it around every few weeks at club on a Tuesday. I'm talking about your high knees, your butt kicks. You know those drills when we've done them. The ones where I line you up and we're doing that. The A skips, the B skips that I famously can't do. Those sort of drills, which are really important in terms of helping and improving your running mechanics. if that's the right word. Again, improving that form, working on technique, will ultimately lead you to be faster. I think I'm picking on you, Wilco, because you're there, but I think when we do those sessions and we work and we introduce where we've done like high knees and things like that, and then we'll work on a specific speed session or element. Have you found that that's helped?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
like you say, as long as, as we've just referred to, as long as the message is simple, then it's, it's effective.
But it's hard to do, right? And this is the thing. It's hard to do when you're on your own. So it's very easy for me to Wilco to sit and talk about it because we see each other on a Tuesday in a coach session. As an everyday runner, these sort of speed drills are very hard to enlist in your week, right?
Yeah, no, I think you've made a good point. If you're doing it on your own, how do you get that feedback? Wilco's talked about looking in the mirror, and I think we all do that to a great lesser extent. If you can do it in a group run, you can have a buddy and they can point out, are you getting your knees up the size you think you are? Are you flexing your ankles as much as you think you are? Because I'm going to say it again, it's back to those neural pathways, which is a posh way of saying repetition makes perfect. And the drills are there to exaggerate so that your body kind of learns where those muscles and what, messages need to be sent out to execute. And yeah, it's hard to do when you're on your own because you don't get that feedback.
Yeah. Aidan, where are you on all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's vital. I totally get where Wilco's coming from, saying if you overload your brain with too many things, at the end of the day, we are all everyday runners. We know
Yes.
that. So we're never going to have this technique absolutely just nailed. That's not what we do. But adding these little bits and trying different things definitely makes a big difference. I think it helps with me a little bit, possibly yourself, Chris, as well, when we're mucking about filming. I've got the Insta stick. So when you're going back and you're reviewing the sort of like footage that you've done at parkrun, you often stop and you watch yourself running and you look and you think, I'm not striking the floor right there, or I'm not doing this here. I'm not getting my heels up high enough to my bum or anything like that. Or sometimes as well, if I want to make the reel look really good and show off, I start running a bit better form, a bit like strides, and you start kicking up higher and stuff like that. And that helps.
Vain. He's
That helps.
so vain. He's so vain.
Oh, of course. It's got to look
And
good.
you take the piss out of Ben.
I didn't say Ben's vain. I said he's got bad form.
No, you were saying. So what you're saying is that you look at your bad form and then just to make it better for the camera. That's what I think you said.
Yeah, but by making it better for the camera, I'm making it better for myself. You know?
No, I know what you're saying.
One leads to the other.
I know. I'll be honest with you. I'm with you on. I look at my pronation. So the shoes, when I'm editing videos for the shoes, I tend to look at my pronation and because it's a lot of it slow mo, so cadence and things like that. I can tell whether I'm overreaching things like that. I'll maybe look at that, but I won't change the way I run just because I'm on film. Hayden.
No,
you're so vain.
Of course, I see you flying through the air. I don't see you doing that.
That's
a great North run.
bollocks. They're so vain. Wilco, can you believe how vain he is? That he's
unbelievable
for the grand.
I would say that talking about videos and that, I don't recognise my form at all. Like on the odd time, like when you're filming something, or just say like we're doing, we'll do a bit on a Tuesday, and it will turn up on one of your films, and like, oh, do I really run like that? I'm just shuffling along, and sometimes like I know it's not you don't get exactly the same from video on stills, but like when I get my race photos back, my feet are never flying on a race picture. No, I've had some where I'm looking at my watch and it looks like I'm waiting for a bus. There's so little movement going on.
Actually, Chris, I really want to ask you this question. I was meant to ask you a couple of weeks ago, run out of time. No, it's a good question. When we talked about running form, and it's made me think about the.
Striking. Are you going to hammer Ben again?
No. It's about striking midfoot. You said the ideal position for your foot to hit the ground, we're all achieving for striking midfoot.
Mid to forward is what I said.
Mid to forward, yeah. So why have you taught yourself to run more on your toes and forward? I think all the faster people always run their toes. And I'm actually so envious. I see people run their toes and I think, I wish I could run like that because I think it would make me faster and my form better.
Have you tried?
He's gone. He's gone.
That isn't the ideal foot strike.
I pulled the plug on him. He was talking.
Yeah, he bored himself.
No, what you're saying is you're saying that my foot strike has changed over the years. I think is what you're saying.
You've taught yourself to do that. Why?
I haven't taught myself. What I've tried to do is work on my form and improve my form. So what I was doing as a runner, I was leaning too far forward and my hips were going back. And then what that meant was where I was striking the floor more heel biased.
Mhm.
What I've tried to do, and if you look, I've got better, yeah, at moving my hips into that 12 o'clock position that we spoke about. If you look at when I'm running, and he's gone. I don't have a very good running form, right? My running form's pretty rubbish, actually. If you look at my arms, they're quite an unnatural position. But the reason they're tucked up like that is because I'm really trying to consciously keep my upper body straight and my hips in that position. If you look at me towards the end of a marathon, I'm like this, and my legs are hitting each other and clipping each other, and my heel and my strike goes back, and I start to pronate. So I will start more forward in my strike, and as I go through the race, I'll end up drifting back as my form goes off. So the reason you're noticing it more is because I am more forward, but I am got to the point, and you're right, I actually have now got to the point where I'm too far forward, which is what I was saying to you about my comment on the runs that I was doing, that I noticed that if I'm doing an easy run, I don't want to be more toe biased. I want to be away from that. The other thing I know, the other thing is as well that I got from my gait is that my toes are basically doing this in my shoes. They're trying to hold on instead of being natural like that. They're gripping.
So they look very, for people not watching, you sort of like demonstrate, they're like grabby, aren't they?
Yeah, they're grabbing like I want you to think of like a cheetah. When its claw hits the floor, when it's maximum power, a cheetah's claw, if you watched it in slow motion, it's coming down, grabbing the floor, ripping it and pulling it back. That's how they're getting their speed, right? I'm not saying that I'm a cheater, but what my toes, for whatever reason, I do that because I found that on my gait analysis. So I'm grabbing and I'm pulling back because that's what I've tried to teach myself to do. I've only been able to do that because I've moved my hips slightly forward to adjust my foot strike. Because I was so heel biased. If you look at my early videos, you will see, and Hayden, I think that's what you're alluding to. You would notice that I am really heel biased, but I've moved that, but also because of my pronation issues as well. It's not helped. Al, you've done a similar thing because you used to pronate and you changed your form as well, didn't you?
Yes, I did. So I still have a tendency to actually supinate, which is actually fall onto the outside of my foot. But in answer to Hayden's question, I don't know what videos you're looking at. Would be useful to have a look. The problem with running on your toes is it puts the pressure on your calves. And if you think about the muscles in your lower body, quads, hamstrings, and your glutes are the big muscles. And if you're trying to run on your calves, you're kind of losing some of your power. So trying to pull it back onto the ball of your feet. But we're talking about, for those elites, it's kind of so marginal.
Yeah.
I think you do see people literally running on their tiptoes.
Always.
And I've suffered from that ever since I could walk. And that's why I've got massive calves, because my calves have been so extended for such a long period of time. But if you haven't got strong calves, running on your toes.
Look at this cutout. Look at this cutout. I've got a shoe up on the screen, right? Look at the cutout here. I'll bring it up to the camera. See that underneath? See where they've made it wide? This is where they want you to be striking here. This is why this part of the shoe here is wide. Yeah, that's your optimal foot strike. Oh, that way in the camera is basically across there. And that's why they cut all this out, because they want you with these shoes landing here, right? But then you compare that. Stay there.
I just can't believe how many, as you said, the faster people that all run on their toes. Now watching, I'm almost envious.
So look at this Hoka. So this is the terrible Hoka Skyflow, which is a total waste of money. But look how much difference that is. And that's a daily trainer. Look how much, it's basically straight. You've got a little bit here on the flare, but look at the width. It carries on the way through it. And that's quite.
Where are you supposed to land? Where's your foot supposed to land in that?
Well, it's a daily trainer. So they're looking like you're more towards here.
Towards the arch.
Yeah. And that's why if you look, they've got there. So that's with helping with pronation. And again, on the pod, we're looking at where the rubber's placed. Okay. And then you've got this heel. So this is where they're expecting you to land. This is why they place these strategically placed bits of rubber on the bottom of the shoe, is because this mimics effectively where your crash pad is. Okay. So they're expecting you to land there, but you look at the width of that, and I'll go back to that ratio again. Yeah. Look at that. That's where they expect the elites.
Mm.
You know, where you're on it, because this is a marathon racing shoe that I'm holding. This is the Endorphin Elite 2. Compare that to an everyday max cushion shoe. And the differences, it's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. But that's what we're talking about, because this shoe, they're kind of expecting you to be about here, you know, in the friendly zone, or actually slightly about there, but in the friendly zone here, where in this one they want you up the front, which is why they put all that foam underneath your forefoot with the carbon plate, and you'll see some of the carbon plates. The carbon plates differ in shapes. So this is the edge, and this is the ASICS edge. The carbon plate actually on this shoe starts here and then really bottoms out, because what they do with this shoe is they put a lot of foam under the forefoot. This is a shoe that supposedly works better with people with a slightly different cadence to the Sky, which has got a straight plate in it. But they do tend to scoop it down, but this has got a lot of foam between you and the plate. Okay, wow. So again, they're looking to have you here. Look at that. The design on that tells you everything. So where's all the rubber? They want you up here. They don't care that most of you everyday runners are going to be like here and back, here and back. I saw a lady walking in a pair of these in London today. It's like she was in clown shoes. I was like, why are you walking in them? She was collapsing like this. She was walking like this in them. I'm thinking, love, you shouldn't be in it. Like, she's doing that when she's walking. Imagine when she's running. The only thing is she might be like up here, and it might not make a difference because she might be on this. But to hold that, as you say, it's classic. You're just ruining your calves. Guess who tore their calf muscle? This guy. Why is that? Probably because I'm more full base and I hadn't done the strength work on my calves to support that change. Yeah,
that's a great tip. It's sort of like looking at the bottom of trainers and where it's going to land and stuff like that.
We can do it all night long. We go all night long, Wilco.
We need to tell the viewers that the people that are on downloading this and not watching it, this is like Mary Poppins. Chris Ford is just pulling trainers out of these bags.
Yeah.
They just keep coming. It's like super shoes. Just keep coming and coming and coming. Look
we go all night.
Ridiculous.
I ain't joking either.
He's only got the left foot though of all of them, so I don't know who's got the right foot.
Look, even that. Look.
Mary Poppins.
Do you want more? No,
that's right. Now, before we move on from speed, I just want to give Glenn Warby a big shout out, because he's obviously the man to follow for speed, because I saw his Garmin. He managed to do 132.6 miles in 41 minutes, 17 seconds this week.
How the hell did he do that?
We should have had him on, shouldn't we? Got
yeah.
Some tips from
so he's
Glenn.
an average of 1.1 minute, 18 seconds per mile.
That's on the train.
That's going well, isn't it?
Yeah. That's on the
That
M40.
is flying.
Yeah.
So he's the man to follow. If you've got need any tips, get hold of Glenn.
Look, I think to wrap up the whole speed thing, now we sort of went off on a real tangent with all that shoe stuff.
That's interesting.
I think to wrap it up, look, number one, as we always say on this channel, consistency, right? If you're doing any of this, be consistent. Gym, the strength work, the drills, the working on the form once a week, and the interval training, 100%. Recovery, key again to speed. If you're absolutely ruined, right, from a 20 miler and you've not recovered properly, and you're going out the next day and trying to do an interval session, good luck. I'll see you at the physio. All right. So just make sure you're doing your recovery. The other important thing to think about, as with all of things that sort of mirrors it, is that nutrition side of things. Don't underestimate how much the nutrition side of things will help. Fair point.
Yeah, you still need to be fueled, even if you're only going short distances fast. You still need to be fueled. You
want to be proteins, carbohydrates, all the stuff that we also talk about, those healthy fats, and support those muscles as you go through this. I think that's it, boys. We've done longer than expected. Mick would be very upset with us all. Wilco, good luck at your 100th tomorrow. If you are at the Saucony 10K, remember our predictions. Go back and listen back. Make sure Al beats his. Al, you look nervous now.
Which one, 49 or 58?
Wait a minute, you just dumb out. Wilco, hopefully you don't upset anybody at the Saucony 10K like you did today, upsetting everybody.
Everybody, I love you all, really.
Ben will be there on Sunday, but I don't think he's going to be talking to Hayden still after his comments about his running form. But most of the team, I think, to be honest with you, are at the Saucony 10K this weekend. So make sure you say hello to us all. if you see any of us out.
Well, you could come and join us just before the race, 8:30 at Waterloo Place by the bag drop. We're all going to have a bit of a gathering, a bit of a pitch up.
Big shout out. We've got volleys on the course as well. I think
That's
at Water
what's
Station 2. Not sure.
Water
One of the
Station
water
2.
stations.
So there we go. So make sure that if you take some water at Water Station 2, you say, hello there, I listen to the Ronnie Show. Was it the Running Show podcast? I say, tell them that you listen to
The Running Show.
Yeah, the Running
It's not
Show.
the Running Show podcast.
No, I want
No.
you to say that you listen to the Running Show podcast. That was deliberate, Hayden.
Oh, right.
I gave him a plug the other week. Did you not notice it?
I did.
Yeah, see? Everyone thinks I'm mad. I do think about these things. It's not my ADHD. Right, okay. That's it. We're off. Well, good luck, Wilco, tomorrow. Some of us have got some work to do. We shall see you all later. Hopefully, Wilco's back next week if he's not upset everybody. And that's it. So, see you later. We're still here.